Hello everyone, and welcome to a brand sparkling new video. And today I thought I'd tell you a true story from my life, and I alluded to it in the 50 facts about me. So yeah, let's expand on this story. And this shit happened. So I've probably named the video something like The Rise and Fall of an Empire. You're like, what? That's way too grandiose. But yeah, the story is how I turned the Healthy Food Act that came into schools, where they eliminated all the sweets and the fizz and all the junk food. They banned that. It's like straight outright. They banned it. So, overnight the vending machines became full of fruit and raisins are technically fruit, but still, it just became full of crap that no one wanted, for prices no one wanted to pay. And yeah, in the early days, I used to get a load of sweets anyway, because I knew kids that went out of school during lunchtime because they had a permit, and I was just like, and they would be like, "Yo, I'm going to the shops. Do you want anything?" So I'd be like, "Yeah, get me some jawbreaks or some shit." And it was like random stuff. And the thing about school and that is that when you have sweets, if you take sweets to school, you know this. But everyone's like, "Oh, can I have one?" And to my close friends, I'd be like, "Yeah, sure, help yourself." However, then there'd be people that I didn't particularly know, and they'd be like, "Oh, can I have one?" And the funny thing is, after they started taking like junk food out of school, people were willing to pay. Like, it's something I realised really fucking quickly. And not only were they willing to pay, they were willing to pay the price of a packet of gumballs for one fucking gumball. And I noticed this very early on. So I started out with £3.60, and that's all the money I had right then. So I gave that to my friend, and I was just like, "Yo, just get me whatever you can for this amount when you go into town." And he was like, "Okay." So if you're imagining, like, you can buy a packet of 5 gumballs for 30p. So that roughly translates to 30p to £1.50. So you're talking about a £1.20 profit of that. So you can see how quickly this escalated into how much. Now, eventually, like, the other thing you're probably asking is, as a school, why can't anyone do this? The funny thing about our school was that it was in a really rural area. So a lot of the kids came in on buses. They lived out in the middle of nowhere, and little villages don't have shops. The shops in those villages are closed because no one visited them. Like, I lived in a tiny little village that used to have a shop, but there's nothing to keep that shop running there. There's not enough demand. So those places closed, and these kids live too far away from the town to just go get sweets. So it was like the perfect fucking storm for this. We kind of grew, and I would be reinvesting like all of my profits into more product to sell. And yeah, eventually I got kind of a reputation for it. Like, people knew if you wanted to buy sweets, you go to Tom. And so I was like, yeah, I really wanted to know how far I could push this for the time. So I just kept expanding. The first thing I did was recruited more kids who were willing to go out during lunchtimes. And that's probably one of my mistakes, is that before I'd used kids who had like permits that allowed them to go home for school lunch, but then I started using the kids that were willing just to sneak out. Because the funny thing about high school was that it really wasn't that secure. Like, the fences, like, there was holes all over the place, and there was places where we left, places where we went on cross country where we left the grounds, and those were never closed. So it's just like, and they're never guarded. So you could just like hop out of school whenever you want. You can jump the fence if you really wanted. No one fucking cared. I used those kids, and I would pay them, like, to them it was great. They were getting some free sweets, and they were getting to go out and do whatever they want. So, and then the second part of that was that I started sort of a distribution network between close friends. I also paid them in sweets because I'm not giving them my money, and sweets are cheap money. So yeah, I started this thing, and I would give them so much, and I'd be like, well, this is the prices I ideally want for them. and you need to give me. I'm expecting at least this much back, and they're always really honest and just gave me. And so it started out. Yeah, it was great. I mean, like I said, at times I was bringing in upwards of 50 quid a week just from this, and as a kid, that's fucking huge money. I mean, there's even more. One week I brought a PSP. Like, that's how crazy it got. I was just like, okay. But yeah, like all great empires, this one had to fall at some point. And I think the beginning of the end for it, I was really interested in all the aspects of everything that was going on. So I insisted on the kids that used to leave during lunch unofficially that they take me along on one of their runs because I wanted to see what they were doing and how they were managing it. Now, it's sod's law that this particular run that we bump into some staff from the school and they see us out and they know that we don't have like passes and permits to be allowed out at that point. So, you know, we get marched back to school and they interrogate us. And I don't know if you could tell now, but as a kid I had this really fucking innocent face that would get away with murder. I mean, that's already been proved by how I basically received no punishment after I smacked that kid round the head with a block of wood. That's another story for another day, and the little fucker really did deserve it. But yeah, I just used to get away with murder. Like, people wouldn't ever suspect it was me. So they were like, oh, it's okay, Tom. You fell in with a bad crowd there. Don't worry. You just move along. But one of the other kids was forever getting in trouble, and I guess there was too much pressure on him. They ended up blabbing about all these places they used to get out. So the school basically, covered up those places. It was a bit of so at that point, like, my acquisition network dropped dramatically. And the other thing was that because I was taking such a huge price it left a lot of people able to come in and undercut me, like from the kids that genuinely did live in the town and they could pop by before and after schools. So yeah, it was a short-lived empire. I think probably about a month, 2 months, all being told. Because eventually it just became not worth it for the kids that were going out, because obviously there was still some kids sneaking out because the security at the school is shit, but a lot of them weren't willing to do stuff for the sweets. And because the demand had dropped, because everyone was bringing in junk food now and everyone was just grabbing everything for their friends, it just became not worth it. So that's a story of how I turned a government policy into a profit.